Today we're joined by Joshua Smith, a dedicated leader and advocate serving as secretary of the Long Island Pride Lions Club. Recognized recently with the International President's Certificate of Appreciation, Joshua brings expertise in digital engagement, practical marketing strategies, and a genuine passion for community driven impact. Welcome, Joshua.
Maybe you could start off by giving us a little of your background of how you got involved with the Lions and
Sure,
yeah.
absolutely. Funny story. I had never really had any type of engagement with the Lions until I joined the Long Island Pride Lions Club. My dad, when he was a child, was sent to camp. I'm from Texas originally. So my dad
Oh,
was sent when he was a kid. He was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes and was
oh,
sent to diabetes camp as a child by the Lions in Texas. And so I'd kind of always known about that. And when I saw that there was an LGBT Lions Club here in my local area that was forming, I decided to show up to the meeting, and I have been super involved ever since. I think my first meeting I attended, no, I know for sure that the first meeting I attended, I ran for club secretary. So I have been our club secretary since 2022, and have really enjoyed it. And currently, I've had the opportunity this past year to serve as the District K2 Public Relations and Marketing Chair. So, which is kind of where all the marketing initiatives, all my marketing stuff is starting to come out of.
that's so interesting that your father and having diabetes, that's how you got involved. What I will do is I'll have some references on the Lions because
Sure.
they've got some really good programs that I feel are undermarketed.
Hmm.
So, and I think in today's world, people want to be involved and sometimes they don't know how
Right.
and they don't know where to start. Just like you went to a meeting, ran for secretary, other people are a little not quite as jump in. You
Right.
know what I mean? And they don't know where to start. So that's why I think marketing is so important. So maybe you could talk about I know you're doing marketing, we'll do that separately, but
Sure.
maybe you could talk about your chapters, events, and maybe the projects that you are working on with them.
Sure. So, you know, the Long Island Pride Lions Club is what they call a specialty club. So we're not a community-based club. We are an identity-based or common interest-based. So our club just happens to be everybody involved is either a member of the LGBT community or an ally or supporter of that community. And so what we have tried to do is our mission of the Long Island Pride Lions is not only kind of meet the goals and objectives of the Lions Club International, but also we want to serve other LGBT people here on Long Island. So what we do is we try and find ways to take the Lions Club's initiatives and we make them a little gay so that way we can serve our community. And there's this like tagline going around the Lions right now, your club your way. And we've
Hmm.
really kind of ran with that and tried to do Lions initiatives, but for LGBT people here on Long Island. There are tons of clubs doing lots of stuff for the community. We just happen to target members of our own community. And so some of our really big events are our signature events. We in right after Labor Day, we do our annual tea dance, which has a historical component. Tea dances used to be for LGBT people to kind of meet on the weekends without having to advertise that it was an LGBT event. It was just called a tea dance. So we do that to pay homage to our historical roots, but it's also a big fundraiser for us. We have started recently, we do now a Halloween party where we've given out the Melvin Jones Fellowship Award as well as our Knights of the Blind Fellowship Award. So we utilize our Halloween party as both a fundraiser and as well as an opportunity to donate to the LCIF Foundation, as well as honor some of our community members and some of our current members. And our annual holiday party is a party, but it's essentially a toy and essentials drive. So we do a large toy collection. I think everybody around the holidays wants to give toys to children and families. But this year we also did an essentials drive where we benefited the AIDS Center of Queens County, and we did a clothing collection, we did toiletry collection, we did food collection, we did any type of household items because they also support entire families, not just children. So we tried to make our events impactful. I think something that we're working on right now, as I mentioned, we did a large fundraiser as part of our Halloween party, and those funds are going towards another LGBT organization here on Long Island called Camp Gava. Camp Gava is a LGBT day camp that happens in the summer, and so we're doing a large donation to them as well as sponsoring an LGBT library that they can take with a mobile library that they can take with them to their summer camps and kind of their pop-ups for their campers.
Oh, that sounds terrific. I mean, you're filling a need, and like you say, it's not just children, it's families. So, and you're pulling it together. And that's why I think the Lions is, like you say, it's not just a town, it can be a cause. So expanding like that is really good.
You
How
know,
many, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oftentimes I feel like I probably would have never found myself venturing out to a community-based or a city-based Lions club. I don't know, unless I knew somebody who was inviting me to a meeting, which is a lot of times how people find out about it. I wouldn't have tried to venture out. But I think this specialty club, I was walking into a room with people that I already shared some type of commonality with, even if I didn't know anyone. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's like the really great part. Nassau County in particular has tons of different specialty clubs that, as you mentioned, are filling a need that the other clubs weren't able to meet for a lot of different people.
Yeah, I think it's really a great, even your fundraisers and summer camp, you don't think about it and unless you're connected somehow to someone. And then you go, oh yeah, like it's maybe what you could talk about is how you've been helping the general Lions with marketing,
Sure.
and you've put on some seminars. And before we go into that, we'll have some links. You'll give me links on how people can connect with you,
Sure.
either themselves or someone else. But yeah, so why don't you talk about some of the workshops you've been doing to help get everybody connected, all different clubs?
Absolutely. So the international president this year, Fabrizio Oliveira, has really tried to encourage Lions clubs to make your mark is really his hashtag for this year. And make your mark is where kind of all of this marketing strategy or excuse me, marketing initiatives have really come from. So when I was asked to serve as the public relations and marketing chair for the district, I was asked to just come up with some trainings, and that's what I was given. Figure out how we can make the Lions better and we can get our name out there more. So I wanted to do a monthly training from January to June. So for the last 6 months of the Lions year, and different stuff about how Lions could better market their clubs, better market their service, better market their members, better market kind of just what the work that they're already doing without having to do a bunch of extra work. And so that's where it really started is how can I take my professional career as an educator and how can I educate other people? And what really has come forward is this Lions marketing and membership mastery training series is kind of what I've called it. And it's a 6-part training series. Our first one, which is the session that I did at the winter convention again, but also took place in January, was Lions marketing basics. And it was essentially social media marketing for Lions, but on an intergenerational concept. So, different generations of people, whether it be boomers, millennials, Gen X, or Gen Z, and now we're getting into Gen Alpha, all of us are consuming content in really, really different ways. And where you may find your content might similar be where I might find my content, but I might be accessing content that you might not be accessing because I'm in different social media platforms than you might be, or vice versa. And so it was kind of introducing Lions to different social media platforms, but then also how to best market on those platforms. Facebook is very different than Instagram. Instagram is incredibly different than TikTok. TikTok is wildly different than LinkedIn. And they all have targeted audiences, and they really do have, there's certain people on certain platforms that are not necessarily on more than one. So that's what our first one, this line marketing basic, is taking social media, and what came from it was just a small social media platform guide, like kind of a checklist. Because I wanted people to make sure that if they took nothing away from a presentation, they at least had a step-by-step guide about how do I make a Facebook post, how do I make an Instagram post, how do I make a LinkedIn post, because all this stuff was really new for some of our seasoned lions. I grew up on a computer. I grew up with the internet being around for my entire existence, where some of our more seasoned lions, they're learning Instagram, they're learning Facebook, and they're learning how to be better at those. And while kind of a lot of people are on Facebook, we may not be marketing in the right way for our Lions clubs on Facebook. My second presentation in February was a digital branding boot camp, and it was how to use Canva and how to make flyers, how to make Instagram posts utilizing Canva for clubs. Lots of people want to be able to use it, but they don't necessarily know how. So it was half seminar, half practical hands-on application of walking people through creating different flyers, different Instagram posts, brochures, whatever they chose to create during our time together, they made. And my third session that's coming up next week is about building bridges and making community partners. As I mentioned, a lot of the Long Island Pride Lions service is us, but we partner with other LGBT organizations. And it's intentional because we double our impact. We
Oh,
are bringing our members to that organization, but we're also bringing that organization to us. Those organizations have LGBT people in them who might also want to join our club. We don't put any pressure on having people join. We're not hounding people to become a member, but we do always provide the invitation because we want folks to know that it's an open door. Lots of different clubs have requirements for people to join. We just ask that people be genuinely interested in making an impact in LGBT people here on Long Island, and then you're more than welcome to join our club. We don't really have any other criteria than that. And I wanted to make sure that folks get a chance to talk to some of our community partners. And so part of my presentation is a quick Q&A with two of our community partners next week that are going to talk about their experience with the Long Island Pride Lions, the successes they've seen, the challenges they've seen, and ways that tips for other people who might want to partner with other community organizations. There's a session that's really kind of just like a drop-in session of just like what's working, what's not working, can we problem solve together? And that's our May one. Our June one is just going to kind of be an advanced strategies marketing, a celebration. I think I'm also going to kind of make it a little bit of a Pride celebration because we're in the middle of Pride Month. We're also, a lot of the examples that I've been giving throughout all of this center around the Long Island Pride Lines because that's my point of reference. And so while everything we do may not be replicable for everyone else, I do think that we have a good example of how our partnerships have been strategic, but also they make sense and they're intentional for us. They're not just we're picking a name from a phone book. We really are sourcing other LGBT organizations that are making a difference. And we found that it's starting to pay off for us.
and I've attended two of the sessions, and I found it interesting that there were some people that hadn't used large language models at all. They had not a clue. And the problem with the different platforms, they're constantly changing.
Correct.
You get one thing figured out and then it's totally different. And I'm familiar with them, and I try and keep up, and it takes a while to figure things out. I do in all my marketing and work, I try and have everything be ADA compliant
Mm-hmm.
because that's something that people don't really think about, oh, let me use red to, and if you have 100 people, you're going to have 30 that they're colorblind, or they can't, flashing things are distracting. They can't deal with poor eyesight, a major issue. Hello.
Hmm.
So you want people to be as many people to get your content that you're trying to create, and fancy fonts that fade and all kind, backgrounds. And so I've really focused on that, and Canva is really good because you can check and do things and make it ADA compliant. I use Constant Contact
Hmm.
because all the marketing, it does two things where you can have your content be ADA compliant, but you can also time element all the platforms. Yeah, it sounds great,
Right.
but it takes time. And so I know there's other platforms where you can log in and post to multiple
Right.
places, so that's another thing that I think is really helpful, to like pick one that you can do multiples, because it's very time consuming. One thing I like about Constant Contact, and there's others, it's just that it can take your email and summarize it. And
Hmm.
so you're not just, having to reinvent the wheel, summarize it. I already did this, and then you can post, because I think that's where people, you don't have the time. You've got to like maximize your time. So I think that these tools, that's why I was surprised on one session, there was someone that had never used any, large language model.
Right. I think that they are, I mean, it's part of the future, right? We are human beings being asked to really do more with way less in every
Hmm.
part of our lives, right? And I think that these large language models have made it easier for us to accomplish large vasts of work that would have taken days to develop previously. You know, I do not shy away from it. I let people know, oh, can I use the name of the model?
Sure.
Okay, I use ChatGPT on a regular. I'm a paid
Yeah.
user of
Yeah, me too.
ChatGPT. I've explored their models. I use it every single day, both at work, in my professional life. It's open right now on my computer. It is just something it's a tool that I use. It helps me become more productive. It helps me create my scripts for my presentations. It allows me to get my thoughts out, but then continue to refine my thoughts. Well, no, I want to make sure that I bring this up, but I don't really know how to mention this in my presentation. Can you help me figure out how to fit it in? And it's very difficult to train people how to use these AI models because a large part has to come from you need to understand, you have to get the concept that it like just kind of works for you without really knowing how to work it. You just need to know how to prompt them in the right way.
Right.
And I think that's the hard part of people is just asking it to do things and they feel silly asking. But once you get more comfortable with prompting, I think the level of confidence that folks have with using it can greatly increase. I use it, as I mentioned, to help me create my presentation outlines. I have it help me draft our club's emails when we send monthly emails out. It's not always perfect. You do have to refine it and you do need to proofread and you need to check all your dates and times because it has its way of making errors. But it is a really great way if you are looking to try and increase your productivity or find ways to flex a little bit of your skill set that you may not have known you had.
And that's why I think volunteer work, I've always found I got to practice whatever I was trying to learn, because people are so grateful for you to be volunteering and doing something that wouldn't be getting done, that you can really be creative. And I think this is an excellent way for people they know their club's events and goals. And this is a way, because they know it, they can be relaxed and practice.
Mhm.
So it's not as stressful. It's not like they're trying, it's more relaxing, and then they can really learn. Because I think in the sessions that we had, there were people that I think came away where they might not have tried it, but feel more comfortable because they understand their goals
Mhm.
using it. So,
I have a Lions Club. I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with completely different district. It's 20Y. Um, and I guess it's a little bit past New York, kind of starting to go upstate a little bit. But they've asked me to do the presentation just with their marketing team tomorrow night and help them customize that social media brochure for their club so their members can educate their own members. And
mm-hmm.
that is the whole purpose of this training series. I am not an expert. I have learned and I have tried and I have failed, but I've also succeeded. And I want to show people how they can try and implement the same stuff. But I give the caveat that some of the stuff is going to work for you and some of the stuff is not going to work for you. And you got to be okay with that because that's part of marketing. You find out what your audience is into, what they like, what they respond to, and then you start doing more of that. I've seen some clubs that have attended some of these sessions. I think my count right now is I've had over 60 individual different Lions attend from 25 plus different clubs from 3 different countries so far attend these sessions. And so I'm hoping that this impact, by no means am I the end all be all, but I hope that people's clubs are re-energized because their names are getting out there. They're being recognized for the work that we're doing. All we're doing is it seems a little self-indulgent, but we're patting ourselves on the back and we're showing our communities, oh no, we really are doing good work with the money that we're getting donated. We are really doing things. We're not just a name that you see when you enter a town or a bench in a park.
Right.
They're real people doing real action in your community for other people in the community.
And that's what I think people want to be able to do. And so if they can see, like, collecting eyeglasses, doing the vision screening, collecting hearing aids. I mean, people, they get a new hearing aid or they're cleaning out and there's hearing aids. They hate to throw it away. And so the more it doesn't sound like much, but it can make a huge difference. The same thing with glasses and vision screening. So, an event like that if people know about it, and it's more than like a plaque as you're coming into a town.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think things kind of got disconnected. And this is really helping everyone figure out who's their target market, what's their platform, and how can they maximize what they're doing with their events and things. Yeah. Have you found that people are much more, after you're done talking, people seem to be much more relaxed and willing to try things?
I think so. I think that the way that I try and present is I have no shame that I'm from a small podunk town in Texas, right? And that's my roots. And that's how I understand information is while I'm intelligent and while I can speak the big talk and I can talk the jargon, it's not digestible for the person having to listen to me talk,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they don't know what I'm talking about to begin with. So I just try and talk to people in a conversational way where I'm not trying to talk at you, but I'm trying to learn alongside you because I'm also learning as an educator and I'm trying to help you learn as well. And so I think that because I've taken that approach or I try to take that approach, it helps relaxes people because I'm not trying to prove anything in the room and I don't need the audience to prove something to me. We're all here to learn the same thing and we're all starting at different points and that's okay. We all came to learn the same thing today. So let's all just kind of strap in and we'll start where we're at. All of our clubs are in different spots. Some are 100 years old. My club is only 2 years old. I think we're a success, but I also think these 100-year clubs are massive successes to have existed for a century of service. And the Flora Park Lions is one of the clubs in our district that just, I think, March 3rd was their 100th anniversary.
Right, right. That's who
So
I work with. Yeah.
an incredible feat to be in existence for 100 years, and the amount of service they've done over 100 years. I think community-based clubs were what we needed. And I think now specialty clubs are going to be what is going to help us grow. And part of marketing is instilling in folks that, like, oh, there is a spot for me at this table. I just kind of have to figure out what seat I want to sit in.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's great, especially that you're able to partner with other groups. That's one thing I like about the Lions is there's different causes and you can fit in,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your particular cause is, you can just step right in and work with them on it. And it really, like 100 years, that's a long time,
It is.
and they started off with, the history I'm not great on, but the blind and deaf. So it's expanded and, now it's an international organization where they really do step in. Okay, well, is there anything else you think you'd like to mention? I've really enjoyed your workshop. I know one thing, Canva has a free account for
Mm-hmm.
nonprofits. So if you're a 501c3, you can get a free account. And again, I use Canva every day.
Mhm.
So,
And
but
even if folks aren't a 501c3 yet, which not every Lions club is,
yeah,
and my club is not. We're a 501c4, which most clubs are. We're under the umbrella organization, so we don't have a foundation we're connected to. So I have because I use it for work a lot, I have a paid one. But the benefit of having these paid accounts is you can add people into your paid account. So if a club wasn't a 501c3, I think the monthly charge is maybe $15 a month, and you can have up to 5 people that can have access to your paid account without having to have a Teams Canva account.
yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Paid one also, but
You can add
yeah.
some people in onto your team. I think you can add up to 4 where they could also access the pro features without having
Mm-hmm.
to purchase it and you having to pay any additional money either.
Yeah. No, that's great to know. It's things like that that can make a difference as people are trying to ramp up. I mean, we just got the Facebook page with Instagram hooked up because some people, it was just crazy because somebody started one account and then it was another account and if you're not experienced, you give up.
Because it's hard, like
Yeah.
this is it. I always talk about it like learning a new language. There are so many rules to social media. The hashtags are filters that help you get seen more, but if you don't really know how to use a hashtag or you don't really know what they are, folks don't use them in the right way, or they're not using the right hashtags to get them in the right way. And so, that was a big topic of conversation in not only in my presentation at convention, but also previously in the session is what are hashtags? I don't really understand them. Can you explain them? And the best way is, they're filters, but researching the hashtags that you're going to use might be really beneficial before you just slap one on your post, because you could hashtag something that might be relevant, or you could hashtag something that might be a little not what you're hoping is the message that you're going to send.
Yeah, that's why I let ChatGPT and Constant Contact AI. Before that I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not using hashtags. I cannot take the time to sit and figure it out. So I just let them, I use what they give me
Mm-hmm.
because it's accurate. But you're right. That was one thing. There was one gentleman on one of the sessions. He had never heard of hashtags. He
Right.
didn't know what it was at all, and I can understand. It's a complex field, and like I say, it moves so fast to try and I'm sure you're the same way. Try and keep up with it as like one day one thing works, you go in the next day, it's totally different. You have to like kind of I go, oh, anyway, well, let's see if there's go ahead.
The only thing else I did want to mention is,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked a lot about AI. On the lionsclubs.org, the main website of
Mm-hmm.
the Lions page, at the top, there is a new feature that they've added, and it's in red text. And it's funny that you and I were talking about putting red text, but it's
Mm-hmm.
red text and it says Lion AI. So
Ah.
there's a group of lions that have been working. He's out of Connecticut. Daniel Marnie Elkins has been working on revolutionizing Lions clubs with AI. And essentially, if folks were to click on this Lion AI link, it's going to open up the Lions Clubs International AI chatbot. And
Mm.
so it is helping Lions to create emails, service opportunities, letters to send out to community members. You could really prompt this thing to kind of do whatever, and it's been fed almost all the Lions information, the
Wow.
history, the service that we've done, the data, the statistics, all of that stuff is they've done a great effort of building this in to benefit Lions, and it's free. People can go on and use it right now. It's limited, this is the beta. They're really testing it, but they want people to go in and use it. They want people to kind of feed it and to get it to work, because the more we use it, the smarter it gets and the
Right.
resources that it's going to be starting to shift out. So
Yeah.
if people don't want to use ChatGPT because they're scared of it, the Lions have something built into their website that is housed and secure from the Lions Clubs International, to give you a kind of head start or a taste of this AI world if you've never done.
Oh, that's terrific because it really could. I could see it could save time. You could give me Floral Park Lions main projects
Mhm.
in the past 5 years,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and then boom, it's done. Now you've got a summary right there. Even give me a beginning history, like so you're not sitting there trying to
Hmm.
figure it out. So I think that's great. So we'll have a link to that too. We'll put some reference materials. If someone wants to connect with your club, what's the best way to do it? Can they?
So yeah, our club has both a Facebook and an Instagram for our club. I want to make sure that I get you the right handles for both those. Actually, can I send you those in
Yeah,
an
you'll email
Yeah,
me later.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna send you. We have a Facebook as well as an Instagram post that are monitored by our marketing chair in our club. But if folks want to reach out to me individually, I'm happy to share my email as well as my personal LinkedIn, my personal Facebook. I don't really do a lot of promoting of my own Lions work. I may post a couple things that I'm going to do for the Lions, uh, and that's really it. I don't post a lot on social media. As somebody who's talking about social media marketing,
Right.
I'm just not a. I don't share every aspect of my life, but I do try. And when I have a class or something, I do try and post a couple weeks out and a week before, like tomorrow. My 1 week reminder for next week's class will go out.
Mm-hmm.
So I post on those steps, but I'm happy to connect with people via Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm happy to contact over Zoom and phone if folks just kind of want to stop and we can pick each other's brains, because I can learn a lot from people that want to engage with me. So, this lifelong learning thing isn't done. I'm an educator willing to be educated by others.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job. I want to thank you very much. What we'll do is I'll have a reference page and that you can also post anywhere that you want to. I think I'm dying now. I'm dying to go see that Lions page with the large language model.
Here,
Uh,
I'm going to pop it in the chat for you. That way you can just click over
okay.
to it if you want to.
Yeah.
Um, and that way you can see it, put on your thing, and this will go right to. I think they've named their model Ellie. So
Ellie. Oh,
Ellie,
good,
Ellie is
good.
their
Yeah.
chatbot.
Yeah, no,
Um,
this will be great. I think that can benefit all lions. Do you have a mailing list also so people can keep up with your events and
yeah.
things?
So if
So,
folks, we have a we have an LI Pride Lion, Long Island Pride Lions Gmail account, like similar clubs do. So
mm-hmm,
we have a supporter email list that has over 100 people, close to 200 on it now, that we send our monthly email to. And then we have separate emails that we send only our dues paying members. So if folks are
mm-hmm.
interested, just kind of keeping tabs on what the Long Island Pride Lions are doing. Everything's posted on our social media for the most part, but I'm happy to, if people want to send an email to us and ask to be put on our mailing list, I'm happy to put folks into our email thread or our mailing list. That way they get that monthly email, no matter where
Okay.
they're
That's great. So I'll get it all together. You'll review it, and then we can start pushing this out. Well, I thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to the next workshop. We'll keep going. We'll see you soon.
at. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
Bye
appreciate it.
bye.